Okay, hello. I'm just gonna be going over Chiefs Game 1 series with Talon. I don't know when the video that might go over the second game, so I'm recording this after the second game's already been played against DFM. So yeah, just let's go into bans. I think there's a lot of stuff Chiefs could do better. It's obviously been a good series for them, and I think there's a lot of improvement stuff both in drafting and gameplay. So Talon's gonna go for the Nocturne Yone Cassante ban. I think Cassante ban's really good. I think you want to deny it from Biopanther. He's really strong in these types of champs. I think Cassante just wins every lane, really good util. Like, Cassante's pretty fucking good. Everyone knows that. I feel like the Nocturne Yone bans are kind of weird, to be honest. I think you're fine if people pick Nocturne. I don't think it's that strong of a champ because you're kind of committing immediately to a theme with Nocturne. Like, you're going to be looking for, like, an Aurora. You're going to be looking for, like, like these champs that just want to all-in combo with Nocturne. And I think you can really easily counter that because I think you're going to be picking Nocturne, one of these R's. You're not going to be picking him here. And if you are picking him here, you've already picked your kind of engaged, kind of like, dive comp shit, so you already have like a thematic answer. Same with Yone. I think Yone is countered in a lot of lanes. I don't really get the prio around it, to be honest. I know it's like a lot of people think it's pretty strong right now. Kind of one of the better AD mids, I guess, but I think there are just better AD mids, to be honest. So I don't really get it, to be honest, but it's whatever. Skarner ban. I think it's fine for what Chiefs are probably angling. I feel like Skarner is quite overrated. I think it's just a matter of like, oh, this champ has an E, and like my laner is just gonna walk up and fucking die to it, and like, oh, he clicks R in a fight. But like, there's so many champs that counter it. So you think like an Ivern, Udyr, Fiddlesticks, like, I mean, even some other champs like, off the top of my head, I don't know, but basically, like, Skarner has a lot of counters, right? Like, that's kind of the point I'm getting at. A lot of things that stop his E, and also like counters outside of jungle, right? So I don't think it's honestly that strong. But like I get it. They're not going to be playing these champs, sadly, to be honest. The thing I think that irks me more is the Kalista Renata banning both. Really weird. I think if you're angling a Varus, you'd rather have the Renata open and then angle another Kalista pairing, so like you ban the Nico here instead. I think that would be okay. But I think truthfully, I don't think Kalista's that strong of a champ. I get they pick it for the lane prio early, but I think most team comps she's just not like hitting into. So yeah, I think it's quite like overrated. I think there's a lot of other ADCs that are better. Lane swaps are things. You're not really like getting to abuse her strong laning. You're just kind of getting prio on the lane swap, which is like fine. It's like whatever. But I don't think it's that good. I don't know if it's worth a ban, to be honest. Yeah, we go into that. Let's just go into Talon. So Talon is going to R1 or B1 the Rumble. This is like I think it's a blunder, to be honest. I don't think Rumble should be a blindable top, and I think it opens a lot of different draft attacks. So think about like, a Galio, think about a Karma. Both of these fuck Rumble really hard in lane, and they're also really, really good flexes. And then they also open you up to like a really strong AD jungle pairing, right? Or even AP jungle pairing if you want to. So like think about like a Shinzao Viego, these types of things. And I like the answer that Chiefs have, to be honest. It's not all doom and gloom. I quite like the Galio Varus. I think Varus and Galio both have flex potential. I know they won't flex the Varus, but Varus is actually really good in mid top and ADC, all really, really good lanes for him. And then the Galio as well. Galio obviously can go mid, but he can also go support. I think it's really underrated aspect of Galio is the support Galio. I think it's really strong into the current meta champs. He maintains his identity as a champion, so you're not really losing anything. But yeah, really good champ in support. Obviously, really both of these have or Galio has a really good matchup with the Rumble as well, which is obviously what they're picking it for. And then Varus really good. Basically, doesn't lose any lanes in ISO. Extremely strong pick. I like it. Like the flexes. I like threatening this kind of like dynamic so far. And then Talon are going to be answering with Corki Sejuani, so this is like really standard. They're just kind of picking these like high prio champs. Whoopsie, I fucked up a bit. So like, I mean, what are they signaling here? Like, they've shown their entire top side, and they've also shown their theme. And what's their theme? They're incredibly short range. Sedge just like kind of this go button with her R. She's looking to skirmish early, abuse Corki while he's still strong in the first like 10 minutes of the game. So then my immediate thoughts here are going for like a spacing champ that can kind of like outfarm, outvalue Sejuani, like maybe Udyr Karthus, like can facilitate Galliaveris type thing. I'm Karthus is very iffy, to be honest. You'd probably like overstacking the AP here. So I mean, I'd like Udyr, but I'm kind of biased. So I think like in terms of chance they'd actually pick, like we could angle like a Zyra Wukong here. I think it slots nicely. Because you still have like that good impact early, but then you're also kind of just outvalue And then I think, to be honest, keeps going Diego on R3 is really, really bad. It's like this is just trolling. Like you see Rumble, Corki, Sejuani, and you think, yeah, I want to like commit to this go in. Like you haven't committed to anything yet, which is why I like the Galio Varus. I think you're like very flexible. You can kind of put them in any lane you want to so far. You're kind of waiting for Talon to show their hand. Their blue side, they have to show their hand first. That's the inherent advantage of red side drafting, right? But like you see this Viego and you're kind of like, what are we doing, guys? Like, I think they basically just gave away their entire team fight dynamic. They're playing into Talon. I think the game, like the draft by this point, is already pretty fucked. And also you have to note, like, a good way to think about League is like in the 2v2 for V3s, etc. So like 2v2 Rumble Sejuani versus like Galio. These guys probably win, but like this is just a neutralizer lane. I doubt you're gonna be fighting 2v2 topside that much. I think the main thing will be 2v2 mid. Sej Corki is insanely strong, and you basically gimped yourself by playing Viego, and it's kind of like you have to salvage it by picking like Syndra or something, maybe. I think Syndra might be able to salvage draft by providing the spacing for the melee champs and then having a really strong level 6 timer. Although, to be honest, I have no fucking idea. Like, I feel like the Viego pick is just so in tier. I really don't like it, and I think it's kind of emblematic of like why Chiefs lost this game. So like we can see here, like Alistar, Ashe are going to be bans for Chiefs. They recognize the pick Talon have, and they're kind of like, you know, go in like Zug Zug thematic, right? Ashe guarantees the lane autonomy, as in, you know, she fucking has complete control of the wave in most matchups, so ideal for Talon. So I like Ashe ban, to be honest. And then Alistar, I think, is bad because it signals that you're wanting to handshake Rel support, which I think Rel is really in tier because you don't want to play again into their strongest. Like, I get you pick the Viego and you're like, we have to get the reset, but you're just like inting, you're like gimping yourself. I feel like you just take the L that you picked a Viego and then try to like fucking pivot into like a good like spacing kind of like comp where it's like, you know, maybe you go like an enchanter on R5 or something. Like you just pick R4 the mid, which I think is the play. Because I mean, like you already know, like they could flex the Corki ADC, but like it's kind of whatever, to be honest. Like I feel like there's no real like pick, like mid lane pick that Talon here that is gonna go like, wow, if you like blind your mid lane here. So yeah, I mean, playing in their melee skirmish, like you want to pick spacing, you want to pick like an enchanter or something, or you know, like some other champ, like pretty int. Talon are gonna be banning the Poppy Nico. I mean, these are just like strong like support picks. Like Poppy ban is kind of weird, but I guess it's because like they're, you know, just going full Zug Zug Poppy E. Like Q is like pretty good, committed, you know, they're committed to like this all in. So it's one of the like not really bad engage options they have. I would have liked Nico here honestly for Chiefs because you have like Varus Nico pairing pretty good lane. But you know, so like it's aight. And then yep, we completely griefed the game on R4 by picking Rel. So firstly, I think you've sealed your draft as like this fucking go and get Viego reset comp, but you're fucking like you see Corki says Rumble, so it's like you're guaranteeing that you have to get picks on rotation, overloading sides, because you're never gonna actually win a team fight in the early skirmish or mid-late skirmish, or even like late game. Like it depends what they pick on B4, B5, right? So it's like if they like the Exodia pick here for Talon, which they recognize as Braum, but it's like if they pick up Braum here, you're never winning the game. Like you're never winning a single fight. So you have to overload on side, and it's just kind of like it's so bra. It's like, what are we doing, guys? Um, I think the actual good decision here is just to R4 mid. I think you R4 Syndra or something, because you want to try to guarantee like a good mid jungle pairing. Syndra as well with like Galio, safe support pick for R5, which I think is really important. R4 support is hard here because I think they have the luxury of the counter pick. So it's like I think you could R4 and pivot into like a Karma Seraphine type of thing, like and try to pivot into like a spacing, but like this is like really easily punished. So I think the play here is just to R4 the mid and pick like a Syndra or something and just trying to play, you know, and then kind of on the R5. And then yeah, Talon just completely decimate them in the comp. They go Ezreal Braum. I mean, Braum is so fucking good here. Like I think Braum like counters fucking every single one of these champions. Like, what are these champs doing in the Braum? Braum is just such an Exodia pick. Ezreal guarantees safety. You already have this insane like beefy front line. Like, I mean, this is so good. Like, Ezreal's one of the better ACs they could have picked here. You're just denying any chance at a Viego repossess or like a, you know, because like the only guy who can burst, right? They can only really burst Ezreal here. Like Corki gets pretty, you know, he's a lot of HP bars, a lot of like fucking bursts as well. So I'm not sure you want to like dive on him. Um, He's incredible safety. Like I don't think at this point I think the game's over. I don't think there's a single R5 that can save the game. And obviously they go for the R5 Ari. Like they've kind of I think they've just kind of fucking mentally given up, bro. Like I don't get this. I don't get this. So it's like they're kind of just like ignoring the reality of the enemy draft and just kind of going like, oh, we'll get Viego resets guys trust. But you're like, how are you getting resets with Ari Viego here? Like it's not even a stronger pairing into the Sedge Corki. Like Corki will just push the Ari and then have Prio and then you're like fucked. So it's like I mean it's kind of you're basically just like you're playing Ari into Sejuani Braum, bro, and you don't have any early impact on Corki. So it's like I look at the Chiefs comp, and I think the main thing is, like the main key word here is conditional, right? Like Ari, like the Ari, the Viego, and the Varus, they're all conditional, right? All their damage is conditional. They have to hit something. They have to like get follow up, which means the game is completely over if it won't get used optimally. And the thing is, it won't get used optimally because look at the enemy champs, like fucking like all these champs just completely like cuck they just completely cuck us. So it's like, what are we doing, bro? Like the only winning interaction that we have is overloading on plays after lane pushes. But the issue is they don't have the ability to outpush at all this game, which means this game is just like completely over. Like this draft is just so it's like it's mind-boggling bad, to be honest. Like I don't want to flame, but this is like this is crazy. I'm not really sure what the vision was here. It's just picking like meta shit, but yeah. I'm probably gonna go in game now and just kind of like give examples of what I mean by this draft. 'Cause I think it's maybe hard for some people to just look at a draft and be like, what's gonna happen in the game at these certain timers. So yeah, we'll go in the draft. We'll like see what happens. We're going to game and then yeah. Okay, so like in game now, I just have like a few timers where I kind of want to like illustrate the kind of effects of the draft, and I mean it's also gameplay stuff, but like so I mean like this 30 seconds in already, Talon's abusing their inherent early game advantage by just grouping on top, clearing defensive vision for Chiefs, and then Chiefs are just opting to fan here, which is fine. But I think from this one early game play, Talon they've already immensely helped their early game plan by opening up ways to attack Chiefs in the early game. To like early invade or skirmish, and then Chiefs aren't really trading anything on the other side here at all, so they kind of get nothing. And then it's kind of easy to say drafted here, but like I think beyond just trying to group themselves and like trade vision on bot side, like it's hard to answer this because just the inherent champion disadvantage level 1. And then I think this also in this game kind of raises an important question, which is what interactions are each team trying to force, which I think is really key to League. So what are Talon trying to force? They want to play around their incredible mid 2v2, right? Super strong, and then they also want to play around their 3v3 with supports. And then I honestly don't think Chiefs have any winning interactions, maybe top 2v2, because I think they lose the hypothetical 4v4 or the 5v5. So I think their only options are maybe to get like early setup and play for catch, out push and then look for like these plays where you overload. But like you're versing Sejuani Braum face checking, so you have to get lucky basically. It's extremely hard to play, and also like you're never really going to be getting pushed in these lanes. So you kind of just have to hope, but like I don't really know. I think it's kind of hard for Chiefs. So if we just go, holy fuck, go like a bit further into the game here, like 2 minutes already, like the swap has materialized, right? Like at this point, Galio was in mid before, going for like this mid variation. Viego started Wolves, and like I can understand the logic behind the swap if you're just trying to accelerate Lemus, just like your only hope in the game, and then guarantee a safe full clear for Viego, and then like I imagine like after Talon's early game aggression, their idea is to try to like fuck with Viego on his full clear. So I think this is like probably the key idea of this lane swap, is just to guarantee jungle being safe. And then now transitioning to like this kind of next part of the lane swap, Galio TP's bot, and then support swap sides. I think it's okay if you're planning to get Ezreal as far behind as possible, but you're kind of trading your entire top side here. So and it's kind of like you're threatening, the Varus is threatening to get dove, so I don't really know if it's net positive. And then kind of if we go further here, like 4 minutes, right? Like we can see here, Rel is late to the play. Varus is just like in Narnia. And then Varus is gonna get punished for this, right? And then there's no trade on bot side either because Viego is just clearing, since he's behind in tempo the entire early game, right? Because of just like how this lane swap materialized, and he's also just like slower, like clear than Sejuani early game. I don't really know even if the dive is possible 3v1 on Ezreal if you just want to like cross map it because he's E cleanse and like they don't really have like that much damage if you can't get the lockdown on him. And then also Rumble still has TP, so you can just TP. Since he never actually swapped, it was Chiefs that did the swap down to ball lane. So I think it's easy to dismiss this kind of as some misplay from Lemus, but like I think this stems mainly from the draft and like they basically just pigeonholed their whole game plan into like basically flipping something and praying. Then like if we just go further in now, 4 minutes 50 at this pause, right? Like you can already see in this point, like Corki has complete control of the wave, early game. So it's underrated, right? Because it's kind of unlocks Sejuani and Braum's rotations across the map while Corki just remains relatively safe because, you know, his team is like in river perma and he can kind of just play up. And then also it's because the nature of Viego Ari, they aren't really playing for the lane gank, but more for the river timer at 5 minutes 50. Really underrated, by the way. 5 minutes 50 is just the timer that mid gets level 6. So, like, Corki level 6 is, like, not bad, but it's definitely way worse than Ari level 6, because Ari level 6 unlocks the insane fucking ult, where she has insane river and utility, or insane movement and utility. So I think Chiefs, on that 5 minute 30 timer in this game, have to try to overload, like, 3-man mid, and then help Ari shove out the lane so they can get her into river, and then maybe threaten, like, an early drag or something, and, like, flip a fight when they have the prio. But it's hard because you know, like she opted for lucidity, like because it's like you kind of want to be playing for your raw power on that spike. Lucidity, you're not getting any damage, you're just getting like slightly better ability haste, right? But maybe like this is just a testament to Corki's control of the lane. In the early game, like he might just be getting fucked that hard. He just wants to like play. But again, this kind of stems from like the draft being blundered. And then like instead of like identifying this, they're kind of going to be going for like this useless play later in the game where they 3-man topside for no reason. When they really should just be using this timer to try to get Ari level 6 and get her pushed out in lane. Because like you can see now, like if the idea is to get any sort of grub control, like look at the HP bars on these champs. Like both of these guys have flash. Ari's still level 5 because she's getting completely punked on, right? And she at the base. She has no TP. Like this is just, it's just like this is a free grubs. So it's like, why aren't we trying to trade on bot side? Why aren't we trying to do something? Like I think a misplay from Talon here as well is that they could also like they literally could just like do grubs and then walk as like a unit down to drag and then also take dragon. Like that could just be a thing they do because like why not? I mean they have complete control of the game. Like they're way stronger early game. They have their lane set up. Like you could just do that. Like and then like any I think any sort of like control that Chiefs have over the map is kind of just like Talon blundering the control to Chiefs. Because I think Talon at any point can just like retake control of bot sides. Like you see here, like Chiefs recognize that Talon blundered by kind of relinquishing this bot control, and they get dragged, which is good. It's good you recognize that these guys fucked up and you take advantage of it instead of doing nothing, right? But like again, this is just Talon like fucked. Like Chiefs are just like if Talon retakes this, like they're either giving up control of drag or they're bleeding out or they're just losing the fight, right? And then there's a good example around here, like Talon forced their winning dynamic. You can see here, Sejuani's in mid, they get the Corki, and then they get this invade on the Raptor. And I'm not actually sure, yeah, he does get the Raptor, the Sejuani, but like this is what you want to be doing. You want to be forcing Viego out because you have so much control. Like you can just completely threaten topside now as well. You can threaten like a dive, you can threaten whatever. Probably not a dive, but you know what I mean. You can threaten his Krugs, you can threaten this. And I know, like, obviously, with how this fight is played, it seems not bad for Chiefs, but I think this is just a misplay from whatchamacallit. I think it's just mechanical blunders from Talon. But I think this is just squarely winning for Talon this fight. And they have complete control of top side, and also like Ari is losing like a wave, right? Like Corki is just like so fucked. Like Ari's just like sacking her entire midway for this play. So like you get a 3 for 2, which is not good. You lose control of your top side, and then your Ari misses a wave and is further behind. So I'm not entirely sure why you would even fight this. I think it's kind of a blunder. I think you probably just have to give, but obviously it doesn't go bad, so it's not too bad. But like I guess they probably feel pressured because of just how like fucking dire the game situation is for them. And then it's kind of like from this point like there's like a lot of like kind of back and forth flipping. Probably go to like we can go to like 10:30 again. Another timer where yes here. Really good. They force their winning interaction. Really important part of League. Talon knows that they win the 4v4, right? Like they shove bot wave, they move their rumble up here, and then Sej is fishing for the R angle with Braum and Ezreal. Chiefs cannot contest this wave and should just try to set up for grubs first, right? And then like just sack the wave. And then it's like even if Rel flashes, like, and then they back out here in this fight because Rel doesn't flash, she just gets caught. Like even if she flashes, they're flashless Rel for the grubs fight, and then Talon can just take grubs. Like major win for Talon is chill, and then they can force fight after as an option. So I think Chiefs just have to sack, and then run away while Talons get like their grubs and then mid ball waves. And then again, I think Talon are kind of inting, so they give control of drag later in the game. I mean, it's just kind of like it's just misplaced. I think from Talon, I think they could definitely be a lot more like controlling over the game state than they are. There's another fight around. I think it's around here for Rift. Which is just again like this fight. I think she's play it well. But it's also just trolling from Talon. Like they're very split in this fight. If they're all grouped, it's a lot easier. Or if they wait for Rumble, it's all a lot easier as well. But they're obviously just like flipping to get the Rift. So this fight is winning for Chiefs, but even if they get these kills, it doesn't change the dynamic of the game, right? Like Chiefs could be ahead in the game, but unless they're like Omega ahead to the point where Viego can just fucking like go on like Sejuani's head and like one shot her, right? Like it's still losing dynamic. Like the unless it's an insane goal difference, this doesn't really change. And then yeah, like I think by this point it's kind of just like it's just Talon having complete control of the game, forcing this Otacon fight, winning. Like it's just like I think Talon have a very good knowledge of their team comp and their winning interactions in the game, and obviously just their champs are really good into Chiefs champs, and I think Chiefs are just very lost. Both in like it's hard to judge, right? Because I think the draft is just so bad that it's kind of hard to fault them for any plays in the game because you just cannot play the game. Like it's over from draft. Like if I was reviewing this like for a team, it'd be like the first few minutes, and then it'd be like whatever. Everything else is just kind of like fucking emblematic of the draft, right? Like it's no real point in reviewing because you can be like, yeah, if you play perfectly in La La Land for like fucking 20 minutes straight, you can win this game or whatever. But like against a really strong team like Talon, if you are in this position like with this draft, you just are losing. Like that's just the truth. Even if you're a good LCP team. It's just how it goes. That's just how draft works. If you have a really good draft, you just win the game a lot of the time. It's the importance of draft. Yeah, I mean, now we can go to game 2. Again, it's kind of a draft cook into just getting completely fucked. But I mean, I think it's still good to go over it. So, okay, second game draft, they're gonna be so Chiefs have on blue side. They banned the Kalista, the Skarner, the Ambessa. I think this is like a lot better. As a ban, they drop Renata ban, which I like a lot more. I think this is at least like logically consistent. So I don't really mind this that much. Like I see the vision. And then Talon will go Ashe, Cassante, Nock. Nock's still the sus one. It might just be like a scrim thing, but it's kind of weird. So yeah, okay, let's go into B1s. So what do they B1 here? They B1 Jace. I get that Jace is like quote unquote strong in meta with like this tank thing, but I think there's infinitely better B1s. So I think a really good B1 that they actually should play is Karma. I think Karma's like a quad flex fucking champ. It's broken as shit. Like it just lets you play any style you want. You can play like fucking Zug Zug, you can play like Poke, you can play like Disenchanter type shit. Like insanely good B1. I mean there's other really good B1s as well. Ivern, insane B1, Skarner if it's not banned, like a lot of different champs that just kind of like enable you to like play the game. I think Jace is quite questionable to be honest, because I think Jace is kind of pigeonholing you into another certain theme. And I think Talon can just counter that again, and then red side you even have more options to counter. And then also another thing with tank Jace, if you go tank Jace, is like you have to win lane. So you basically like if you want to go like more like if you want to go like triple threat or something, which is I think they go this game, but like it's pretty silly. Um, like you're kind of just cucking your Jace, bro. Like if tank Jace doesn't win lane and he's not ahead, it's so fucking useless. Like it feels like ass. So yeah, okay. Talon will answer with the MF Victor. I quite like this. I mean, well, it's like going for power picks on patch, which is okay. I think Victor is a really good champ. Um, like maybe as later in the draft, but I think if you pick it this early, it kind of opens up her mid jungle abuse because like Victor's a fucking poke mage strong lane, but like if you just like get ganked, if you like free man like roam on his ass and you have like a good dynamic to where you can actually get the push in lane to do that, like he's gonna be useless. Like he's just gonna get like touched like so much, right? MF is fine. It's just like stock standard kind of like 80 like blind early. And then this is kind of where the draft starts to fall apart. We go for a Via Kali. I mean, I guess like in theory this isn't honestly that bad because I think like Chiefs kind of recognize like, oh, if we just like explode the fucking Victor like a bunch, like this is not bad. But like they're already fully locked themselves into like a full dive comp, like full dive engage comp this early in draft. I honestly don't think Vi's that strong. I get Vi kind of fills the niche of like, oh, it's like one of the only champs that has like this point and click fucking CC button. But it's like, it's like, bruh, like you just, it's Vi. Like, if you don't have really good follow up and really good communication, and you don't play it like really optimally, she's just gonna get exploded. And then it also gives Talon the option to pivot into like kind of a zone of control, like Chiefs are really melee, right? Like these are all melee dive champs. If you like kind of pivot, like you could go in Udyr here, really fucking strong into all of these champs. Like Udyr just completely cucked them, which is what Talon end up going, and then the game is just completely over. But like I also think Xin Zhao is really strong here. It's one of the best picks in jungle for kind of like the zone of control anti-engage. It also like kind of is very like thematically autonomous, kind of can do a lot of different things. I like it a lot in the meta. Um, so like I think Akali is just seemingly a lane answer to Victor, so and like some sort of follow-up dive on Vi, but like I think Talon can just go into like these anti-engage spacers now and like they're really chilling. So yeah, we're gonna see the Xin Zhao and R3. Xin Zhao R3, really good, like you're kind of keeping yourself like thematically like neutral still. Like you can kind of like pivot into your theme. You can kind of see how the draft unfolds on B4, B5, and then you have R5 as well to kind of seal the deal. I think Shin's also good because it helps Victor in the early game because he's really strong early. Like he has the pressure later in fights. Like he scales really well. It's this really good engage anti-engage dynamic. Really nice. So then Chiefs are going to be looking to ban the Poppy and the Gragas. I think it's fine. They're kind of just looking to ban out like Jace neutralizers since they blinded Jace this early, which is like fine. And then Poppy's also good into their comp. I mean, Gragas, Jace, and Poppy are both like pretty decent to their comp. But it's like another issue of Jace. I feel like there's a lot of neutralizers that exist, especially where it's tank variation, like because it's like ass in ahead. So I think Talon has a lot of different options. And then Talon will just ban the Kaiser Renekton, or Kaiser Rakan, not Renekton. I think this is fine, pretty good. It's just stock standard engaged Slottins that fit in with Chiefs, right? So it's like they give them a nice identity, some fine with these bans. But you could have also maybe just kind of baited them into them. I think you could have baited them into the Kaisa. I think Rakan is quite strong. I think Rakan ban's good. You could like go into the Kaisa and then just kind of completely cuck them. Especially like this R4 here. They're gonna be R4 and Udyr. Insane pick here. Look, I'm like an Udyr salesman because I fucking main the champ. But like he's so good. He does lose the early levels into Jace, but like once he has fucking post steel caps like Warden's mail because he has an insane sustain, he just starts winning lane, has push every single time, he can just do whatever. Also really good into Akali Vi. He just sits on top of his MF Victor and just guarantees they can't get ulted on without like killing themselves basically. So like you kind of have this dynamic of like you kind of now index in this anti-engage spacer comp. So you have Xin Zhao, Udyr, these like some of the best champs in the game at it. So basically Talon have forced Chiefs to go for some tries, like to try to go for some sort of pivot. Like they aren't winning this game if they fully index into dive, right? And I think it's good that Chiefs recognize this. They're gonna go the Caitlyn Nico. I think this is fine-ish in theory, but these guys have R5 support, so they could just slam Blitzcrank, and then you're completely fucked, right? Like, Blitzcrank would be Exodia crazy here. And Talon kind of gimped themselves after, like, this kind of brief moment of, like, ingenuity here by going Nautilus R5. But, like, I think Chiefs draft is pretty lost. Like, You basically have all 3 lanes that want perma jungle attention. You have like, it's just like you want perma jungle attention, and you make Vi's job like extremely fucking hard. And then Karsa basically only has to index towards like the mid bot, because it's like Udyr into Jace, like he can survive dives, he can survive lane swap if they go for it. Like he's giga chilling. He can kind of just be left on an island by himself. Even if he gets behind, he'll be useful once he has Steel Cap's Warden's Mail. He'll just win the lane. It's just how it goes. So it's like Karsa's job is so easy here. He just has to kind of watch his lanes on the mid bot, and then like Mir has to try to run around on Vi and try to like basically get every single lane ahead by like the fucking grace of God, and also defend every dive, which isn't great. And then obviously this is kind of like it's a bit of a saving like fucking like swan song for Chiefs. They get the not R5. It's like the worst possible pick here ever. I don't get why you're picking not into Nico Caitlyn. Could just go Blitzcrank here and win. You could just go an Enchanter and like match the range, like, and then you have really good Xin Zhao, Udyr synergy with an Enchanter. But like, you know, Nautilus, I kind of get it to an extent. Like you want like the strong pick to roam around with the Xin Zhao if your plan is to just save your mid bot lane, right? But like you could just do that with a Blitzcrank, and then your champ is like pretty good. I don't really get it, to be honest. Like I get people say like, oh, he's level 1 in roaming strength, but like bruh, bruh, like I don't know. So yeah, I think Chiefs also again completely outdrafted. They have to play this game really, really optimally, which they won't. Because it's a really fucking hard comp to play, right? Like I'd only expect like best teams in the world to play this comp properly here, right? Like it's not like a thing of Chiefs being bad. I think Chiefs are good individually as players. It's just like it's just hard. They're just gimping themselves for no reason, right? Like why not just play like more like open, like thematically in draft, and then give yourself a lot more options, and then give yourself winning lane matchups, and then give yourself winning dynamics, and then you know maybe play around with flexes a little bit. Like these guys all have like very big champ pools. It's not a champ pool issue. They can pretty, and like they're also, you know, pretty open-minded in my like limited experience, right? Like I think like they have so many options to, they have really good pieces, but we're just gimping ourselves in draft for fun. And like I can already, you know, you can kind of tell how this game goes. Like if you don't win this game in the first like 5 minutes, the game is just completely over. Which is kind of what happens, and I can kind of show a bit of it like in the actual game, but yeah. I guess let's go to the game now. Okay, I mean this one again will be probably, you know, short because they just kind of got pooped on this game. It's not too much to review. I don't want to like, you know, be a fuckhead about it. So again, Talon, you can see here, they're going for the early, deep, aggressive vision. Just like here, you know, like, whatchamacallit, like, you got, like, like, on this entire side, like, you have very good vision. It makes it really easy. And it's mainly to try to defend against any K by Nico shenanigans on the swap, right? I think Udyr is one of the best champs in the swap because of his insane early wave clear and shielding. So I think Talon opting for the swap here is good as they try to shut down the interactions that Chiefs want to force. So they recognize Chiefs want to force the Caitlyn Nico Vi interaction on the dive and just fuck them. They recognize that, they go for the swap. Really good swap champs. Pretty good, I think. And then I think this is another issue of blinding Jace like this. I think like with the swap, Udyr just completely fucks him and makes tank Jace useless later down the line, and you can't even force your hard winning early mid 2v2 because of this. Because your Vi kind of just has to run around and stuff, right? And then I mean like a lot of this game, to be fair, is just I think mechanical blunders. It's obviously draft diff, I think is immense. But like you can see here, like a lot of lane blunders in mid with Akali, Victor. You're letting Fofo play the early game 1v1 where you just grass queue, out trade Akali, and then Jimmy's kind of playing into it instead of waiting for the winning interaction, which is basically just waiting for your jungler here. Like I honestly would have liked to do something like into these, I think like into these mid like melee versus ranged matchups where they're kind of getting punked like this. I honestly kind of like the like interaction where you kind of go like this. Like you might do like 1 or 2 camps on your top side, or you might even invade and then do red raptor, and then you kind of just you transition gank mid, because the thing is like this guy can't do anything. He won't expect a transition gank, and he will be forced to flash, and it's like, oh, okay, you get transition ganks, so you don't really waste any time to go to your camps, right? But you completely fuck this guy's. You completely fuck this guy if he isn't respecting it, and even if he is respecting it, you can help your Akali shove out wave, and it's really chillaxer mode, and you know you're kind of happy with the game there. Important thing, both junglers opt for full clear here. Full clear obviously I think benefits the Xin Zhao because he ends up on his diveable side. And then I think Udyr cannot be dove on this situation, so this is like chill. They have no Ignite for Udyr as well, which I think is a major blunder. I think if you swap into Udyr and you want to Fred in a dive, you definitely need Ignite. I don't think it's diveable without Ignite unless the Udyr Giga Trolls the play. He's just too strong. You could even go like 2 points W early on Udyr or something like that instead of opting for a Q or an E or whatever. Or like, 2 points R to clear the wave, whatever. So yeah, you see here, like, they can just, this guy's fucked, bro. Like, they can just Fred in this so hard, which is what they do, I believe. At least slightly. Like, I think because of the way that the jungle clears ended up happening, like, Shin can move his support and punish Jimmy. So Jimmy has to kind of back out here and get fucked over. And then they just let Victor continue to scale and get past, like, this early scary part of the game. And then also, this just further delays Jimmy's 530 timer. So Victor will get 530 level 6, and he won't. So then Xin Zhao and Victor can walk in the river and get zone of control, which is really important. Zone of control into like these Victor Xin Zhao comps. That's how they want to play the game. They want to get control of the area first, and then kind of just zone you the fuck off. Especially because these guys are like outside of Caitlyn, they're quite melee range, right? And like Nico, I guess, but like they're quite melee range. So like you get the zone of control. They're kind of just getting fucked, basically. And then I think the scary part of this is the fact that nothing is happening in this early game for Chiefs. I feel like you have to force the play early because you're just basically like handshaking skirmish, like or you're handshaking the scaling. You want to be trying to skirmish here. Like I think the fact that nothing happens early and also nothing happens on the Vi Akali level 6 timer later in the game. Which is like really bad. Like you're just letting Talon free scale. They're happy to free scale bleed out Chiefs. They have triple threat lanes. Chiefs have to look to force their winning interactions. But they're seemingly happy to just wait for objective fights. But like objective fights, Talon will have push, and then they get zone of control, and then they just completely fuck you, right? So I don't think playing the objective fight is the play here. I think you have to try to get pick early and then set up into objective after pick. So it's again, it's 530 here. You can see like Vi is just trying to force the drag. Bro, I'm like giga trolling. GG. Vi is trying to like okay, like Vi tries to force drag on 530 as kind of a Hail Mary. Shin walks into bot river 530 timer with stronger Victor, and then it's able to secure. And that's why this timer is so important, right? Like Vi is trying to do this. Okay, 530, exact timer. Shin Zhao is in river. Victor's pushing to go into river. You have your balling pushed out, your MF is basing, so you have no threat on top, and then you're just like, this is free. This is the freest dragon in human history for Talon, and they're really happy with how this like turns out. Like I would be really happy if I was playing Shins out here. Like, they try to trade grubs, and they can only like get to like this is just kind of like, it's like Woody has to flash. They end up getting them. This is just kind of like I think Talon honestly could have done this a lot better if they set up earlier. I just like it's like sure it's fine, but I also don't get like why we aren't ever forcing on Victor. It's really strange. So you can see like we're 7 minutes into the game. Vi hits level 6. Like Jimmy's coming back from base. Yep. So I think after the Victor comes back, we should be looking on him, right? And then we kind of just like don't. I think the fact that Akali and Vi haven't linked at all post 6 is a major concern. And then they also haven't forced anything with their Kate Nico prio, so they're kind of just letting Talon free scale, and then play fights they can't win, which is a bit curious. Like, I don't really get it. I guess I think it's just MLI. Like you see here, like they play this properly. They get the push in. Talon just like completely fucking them. Like they would have liked them to walk down mid here as well, and then get Dragon. Right after underrated tech again. I think it's OP because they have to fix waves anyways, and it guarantees winning fight because you have zone of control early. Although they do just base and force Dragon, which I think is fine as well. But obviously could have done it a bit earlier. Like Xin Zhao's forcing Dragon here solo. Like Judir has complete prio of lane against the Jace because he has still caps now. Like this Jace lane is unplayable by this point. He's been completely neutralized. I don't know. He just kind of has control of every lane, and he's trying to he's like kind of causing Vi to force like these weird like cross map plays, into not Victor with TP, which is a bit weird. And then right after drag as well, another important thing I think that Victor does is he walks in the mid to get the mid push, so then his Victor can walk with him or get base, whatever he wants to do. Victor's walking in, he can kind of fret in this, and I think by this point in the game, I kind of view it as being over. Like being this far down, like against the scaling comp this early is insane. And then obviously like later in the game, they just like lose fights, right? They just get aced and lose on the objective fight, but it's like obvious they do. And it's obviously this very emblematic of gameplay issues, but also just like draft issues. I think it's kind of hard to expect these guys to play at like their very best gameplay when you're completely gimping them in the draft, which is why I think draft is so important. Like you don't need a giga winning theoretical fucking like La La Land draft. You just need like a nice thematically consistent like strong pick, like like just a good draft, right? It's not even that hard to do, but we kind of just gimp ourselves for no reason. So yeah, I mean that's the first series of Chiefs. I think they have a lot of promise, but there's obviously like this stuff is kind of worrying to me. So yeah,